Podcasts can be so much easier to absorb than audiobooks. I really got into podcasts when I first had my concussion because I was really struggling to follow the plot of audiobooks. One of my doctors and my best friend both mentioned a couple of podcasts, and I fell in love with some of them. So today I'm going to share what I call my 3x3, my 3 favorite podcasts in my 3 favorite genres. My name is Larissa, and welcome to the Concussion Crew, where I share things that I've learned along my journey of recovery. Now, I am not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, and if your doctor is telling you not to listen to audiobooks, not to listen to podcasts, follow your medical practitioner's advice. The first category that I'm going to talk about is weird fiction. They're supernatural, they're ghost related, they're just weird, and I love them. The Antique Shop is a podcast that I go back to on my bad days. I go back to it again and again and re-listen to my favorite episodes. The Antique Shop follows the story of Maya, who gets a job in an antique shop, but it is not your standard antique shop. The items that are in the antique shop are weird and quirky. The madam who runs the antique shop is otherworldly, and she solves a kind of magical type problem. The longer Maya works at the antique shop, the more she realizes that the people who are coming to the madam to ask for help and advice are not crazy, but are aware that the madam can help them with problems that other people might not. It's a really cool listen, and the narrator and writer is Scottish, and her accent is gorgeous. It's a fun listen. Ghost Story was another fun listen. There's only 1 season out, and it was a complete story in that 1 season. That being said, please, podcast gods, bring back Ghost Story for another season. Blum is another weird fictional podcast. It is 1 season long, and Blum follows the story of a journalist who is researching an art history student who went missing years ago while she was researching an artist called Ursula Blum. It has a supernatural element to it. There are heart-jumpy moments. I enjoyed Blum if you're looking for something fictional and fun. The Mistholme Museum of Mystery, Mortality, and Morbidity. That's a lot of M's, and I might have mixed up the order, but it is a story about a museum that houses supernatural artifacts, or artifacts with supernatural stories behind them. And each episode talks about the story behind that artifact. So you can listen to it and hear these fun, quirky stories. There is a storyline that pulls together all of the seasons, and that storyline has to do with the staff members who go missing. But the episodes talk a lot about the artifacts within the museum. So it's a fun listen, and it's a light listen. Next, we're going to talk about fun and funny podcasts. And I'm going to start off strong with Normal Gossip. The host, Kelsey, and her producers take a different gossip story and they anonymize it and share it each week. And they have a different guest host with Kelsey. So she's telling them a story about strangers, and the other person is reacting and they're talking about the story and what would you do and what do you think this person should do. And they're usually funny and you're so glad that it didn't happen to you, but you love to listen to the story because it'll give you a good chuckle. So if you just watched the episode about how to hack your brain chemicals, this definitely counts as laughter that will induce endorphins, because normal gossip is a lot of fun. Another fun and funny podcast, Backstreet at the Vinyl Cafe, is hosted by Jess Milton, who was the producer for Stuart McLean, and she shares behind the scenes stories from traveling across Canada with Stuart, and then she shares episodes of Vinyl Cafe. And if you like Stuart McLean, you're gonna love this. The background stories are funny and fun and give you more insight into this fabulous Canadian author. And if you are new to Stuart McLean, the experience is so much fun, and it's kind and lighthearted fun. And last but not least on the fun and funny episodes is A Hot Dog is a Sandwich. And the hosts each week discuss different food topics and whether a hot dog is a sandwich, for example. They talk about different food items each week, and it is fun, it is light. You don't have to listen to every single episode to get what's going on, and it's another fun and funny podcast. Group number 3, if you're looking to get away from funny and fictional, these ones are fun and factual. Reply All is a podcast about the internet, and in the link below, I'm going to link to my favorite episode, not their first episode. I'm sure you could track down the first episode, but this one talks about scammers, phone scammers in particular, and the host of the show built a relationship with a phone scam person who called him from India, and he talks about that relationship and what he has learned about the art of phone scamming. Cautionary Tales is another nonfiction podcast where they tell us stories that happened around the world and what we can learn from these stories, what we can glean from them. They are really compelling. The stories are well told, and some of them are acted out. They are well presented, and it feels less like you should do this and more of a, oh, this is how this relates to my life. It's kind of like grown-up fairy tales. You know how when you're a kid, fairy tales are supposed to teach you things? These cautionary tales are like fairy tales for grown-ups, only they're real. And rounding out podcast number 3 in category number 3 is 99% Invisible. 99% Invisible talks about design, and it's all about design we don't think about. Acoustic design. Why aren't our ears ringing in some buildings that have huge foyers, for example? Or the design elements that went into designing toothbrushes is really cool to listen to. And 99% Invisible, a lot of the episodes are 10 minutes or less even. So if you are not having a great brain day and you just want a little something to listen to, these will give you options, short options, so you can listen to 1, 2, 3, but not be invested in an entire audiobook or a 1-hour podcast or even a 30-minute podcast. You can choose shorter episodes and just listen to what your brain will accept. Thanks so much for watching this episode. I hope that you will share any podcasts you recommend down below. I'm always looking for new stuff, and if we can build kind of a library that we can share with each other, that would be great. Happy listening, and remember, you are not alone.